The Uniting Church Icon Schools hold an annual exhibition during October-November. The exhibition is hung along the main corridor of the Centre for Theology and Ministry in Parkville in Melbourne. The icons are the work of the school's members over its past year, usually about 30 to 40 pieces. Some are offered for sale. It is 2020 and, alas, due to the COVID-19 epidemic, we are not permitted to hold our annual exhibition. So, this video is a virtual exhibition and is a compilation of the exhibitions held from 2014 to 2019. The icons and their artists are not named in this video, mainly because my video editor got confused and tired when I tried to label everything. So sorry about that. We usually give each exhibition a name. So what could be suitable for this extraordinary year? What about In This Together with God? Sorry that there is no catalogue this year, but as always, entry is free, so enjoy. At the opening of each exhibition, I offer either a little talk or an essay which is posted on the wall, or both. So in 2014 our exhibition was called The Blessed Company of Heaven, and this is what I wrote. The name of this Uniting Church Icon Schools 2014 exhibition acknowledges that our art strives to catch a glimpse of God's realm. In this heavenly place, Christ and the followers of the way are the stories of salvation are remembered and reverenced. Throughout the history of the church, art has been an aid to our remembering that the church on earth is in company with Christ and the saints who have gone before. Icons draw the faithful into prayer. During 2014, up to 50 iconographers have participated monthly in a day of painting instruction and guided contemplation through our 3 icon schools. 12 are learning to paint their first icon. This year is seeing some significant changes. Rob Gallagher has led the schools since their inception, almost 20 years ago. He now shares the coordination and teaching with Peter Blackwood, that's myself. This has enabled Rob to help members explore possibilities of writing icons that are distinctively Australian. We're now seeing our members moving away from rewriting old icons and are now daring to write more original compositions. Australian influences are very deliberate in many of these. This exhibition includes icons with Australian flora, fauna, landscape and architecture. In some there is an exclusive use of Australian ochres. Claiming styles that reflect the iconographer's culture is not new. Cultural motifs, artistic styles, subject choices and features that give theological emphases are apparent in the iconography of Asia, Africa, Western European churches in recent years. For some, this may raise questions about what constitutes traditional Christian iconography. The Uniting Church Icon Schools treasures the traditions of the Orthodox churches and the styles of Byzantine, Coptic, Ethiopian and Armenian icon writers. However, as an activity of the Uniting Church, we claim the freedom to develop these traditions so that contemporary Australians can connect with them more directly. While some of our work may push the boundaries of some of the honoured traditions, 2 things remain. The art form of all the icons in this exhibition are painted with raw pigment mixed with egg yolk and alcohol on wooden panel covered with linen, rabbit skin glue and whiting. The hope of the artists is that their icons may draw the faithful into prayer with the blessed company of heaven. In 2015, the icon exhibition was called In God's Image, and I wrote, "So God created humankind in his image, in the image of God he created them, male and female he created them." It's from the first chapter of Genesis. Icons are images of humans who are created in God's image. So the 2015 Uniting Church Icon Schools exhibition is called In God's Image. Uniting Church Icon Schools are celebrating their 20th anniversary this month. The first school began at Otira in Kew, and subsequent schools were established at St James Wattle Park and at the Toorak Uniting Church. With the sale of Otira and the building of the Centre for Theology and Ministry, the Otira School moved to the CTM, the Centre for Theology and Ministry. Then all three schools moved to Auburn Uniting Church, where a permanent office and work shed were established. Hundreds of iconographers across the churches have been introduced to icon writing by these schools. The current membership of the schools represents a broad range of experience and influence from across the world of iconography. We each seem to be drawn towards our own favourite exponents and styles. The rich diversity of many teachers that this engenders can be seen in the exhibition. The Italian style taught by Ursula Betke of Australia can be seen in ornate gold work and elaborately decorated clothing. Prosopon is a Russian icon school in America that teaches its style through a series of DVDs. It's characterised by the blending of different hues by pooling layers of paint, creating a complex fusion of colour. Aidan Hart in the United Kingdom, through a monumental book on icon painting and a workshop attended by Rob Gallagher in 2014, is guiding technique notably in a style of painting faces that allows the white gesso to shine through the flesh-coloured pigments. Philip Davidov and Olga Shalamova of St Petersburg in Russia have conducted icon workshops at the Australian Catholic University over several summers. A number of artists from our schools attend the workshops, and the influence is evident. More basic distinctions of style are apparent between the exhibition icons of European churches, that's Greece and Russia, and African icons of Egypt, that is the Coptic style. African icons are characterised by shorter figures and larger eyes. There is growing evidence of icon schools of members making their own artistic decisions. Composition, blending of colours, contrasting tone variations are more the artist's choices, so that the icons of the past icons models are our new creations rather than objects to be copied. The result is an attempt to become more attuned to contemporary culture and context, while being faithful to the ancient traditions of icons. The icons have not been arranged in themes or categories. Each icon hangs in its own right, rather than being deliberately open to comparison with those that surround them. The name of the exhibition prompts us to view icons not just as art, but as invitations to prayerful encounters with God, in whose image we are created. So, in 2016, the exhibition was called Liturgical Art. Alas, I couldn't find any record of having written a piece for this exhibition. I'm sure I did. I seem to remember saying something like that icons are not just art, they are not even just religious art. Icons are liturgical art. They are linked to the prayer of the church. Perhaps that is all I need to say. I actually say it quite often, But having said that, let me say more about the art and the artists that have contributed to our exhibitions. We've been able to exhibit every piece that has been submitted for exhibition over the years. Some of the icons are members' first attempts at iconography. Some are the result of members experimenting with colours and designs. Some are attempts to find Australian expressions of the craft. Some push the boundaries. Some attempt assiduously to copy an original faithfully. All of them are painted in egg tempera on the gessoed panels and have been painted within a community of artists who meet each month to paint and learn and pray together. In 2017, the name of the exhibition was The Beauty of Holiness. And I wrote, the name of this year's exhibition is The Beauty of Holiness. These words may evoke a memory for some of the hymn of John Moncel. O worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, bow down before him, his glory proclaim. With gold and obedience and incense of lowliness, kneel and adore him, the Lord is his name. The hymn is still published in hymn books of the English-speaking Western Church. Icons are the Church's desire to make holy places beautiful. Of course, seeing beauty in any art form is subjective. If we are unfamiliar with Byzantine iconography, we may struggle to read beauty into icons until we learn to read what is written in them. It's interesting and perhaps strange that Protestants are appreciating icons. They are more likely to find beauty in hymns such as that by John Moncel, but in the gift the Eastern Church offers in icons, the Protestant West is seeing beauty in this holy art. Aidan Hart writes of the Hebrew and Greek words for beauty, how they link with a sense of goodness. Beauty is good. Aspiring to beauty is a move toward goodness, to holiness. Not everyone will judge the work of the Uniting Church Icon Schools as beautiful, but that is our objective. We strive to represent the goodness and beauty of God in the faces of Christ, the heavenly hosts, the stories from Scripture, and all the saints. Our prayer is that they lead people to worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. In 2018, the name of the exhibition was Visions of the Invisible. In the 8th century, the church decided that the second commandment stated quite clearly that thou shalt not paint icons. So the church smashed up its icons and stopped painting new ones until the Second Council of Nicaea, when the church changed its mind. It was helped by John of Damascus, who articulated both the for and against cases clearly and persuasively. How can the invisible be depicted? John of Damascus wrote. How does one picture the inconceivable? How can one draw what is timeless, immeasurable, infinite? How can a form be given to the formless? How does one paint the bodiless? How can you describe what is a mystery? So then, John of Damascus reminded the church of some passages of scripture from the New Testament, from Colossians chapter 1, verses 13 to 16. He has rescued us from the power of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For in him all things in heaven and on earth were created, things visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers of powers. All things have been created through him and for him. And also from John chapter 1 verse 14, and the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. And then John of Damascus goes on to say, I have seen God in human form, and my soul was saved. In former times God, who is without form or body, could never be depicted. But now when God is seen in the flesh conversing with humans, I make an image of the God whom I see. I do not worship matter, I worship the Creator of matter, who became matter for my sake, who willed to take his abode in matter, who worked out my salvation through matter. Well, that explains the name of this year's exhibition, Visions of the Invisible. We iconographers attempt to create images that help people know the invisible, inconceivable, limitless, immeasurable, infinite, formless and bodiless God. Thank God we are allowed to do that. Much is being said lately about freedom of speech. We are lucky to have freedom of paint. As Joe and I were mounting this exhibition on Monday, we were talking with John Flett, one of the teachers here at Pilgrim Theological College. He had recently visited Romania. He told us of the iconographer who painted icons for a new church. His style so infuriated an icon teacher that he has been barred from ever painting icons again. Our work is varied in style. What we do is not without its critics, more for the aesthetics than the theology. I have to tell you that each time I hang one of our exhibitions here, I get so many messages from those who work and study here that they are glad that the icons are back. In 2019, the name of the exhibition was Believing is Seeing. And I wrote, Any self-respecting editor or proofreader would put a red pencil through the title of this year's icon exhibition of the Uniting Church Icon Schools. Everyone knows that the saying should read, "Seeing is believing." It probably stems from the story of doubting Thomas in John's Gospel, when Thomas declares that he will not believe that Christ is alive unless he sees him. The suggestion is the name given to this exhibition is that Christian faith enables insight into religious art in the iconography tradition that is not divulged to other viewers of this style of art. And this is a very bold claim and to a certain extent untrue indeed. There will be many people of faith within the Western traditions of Christianity, such as Roman Catholic, Anglicans and other Protestants, that remain unmoved or even confused by iconography in the Eastern Orthodox traditions. More and more church folk across all traditions are looking again at the ancient art form of icons and being touched at deep places in their lives. The name of this exhibition, Believing is Seeing, offers an invitation to viewers to have their faith addressed anew. Our prayer is that seeing these images may enliven faith and draw people into prayer. Well, I trust you have maybe enjoyed, at least been engaged by, maybe confused by this virtual exhibition. If you like it, there is a spot down below under this video that you can register a thumbs up. If you have a comment or a question, there's a space down there also for you to write whatever you like. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for sharing this virtual exhibition with us.